Never say never, I guess. But I'm drawing the line with Luffy. I mean, come on, this is a classic looking Luffy we're talking about here. It's like saying no to a good base form Goku. Every anime fan should have a classic Luffy figure in their collection, right? But whew! Zorro is looking good, and he comes with that sweet looking faceplate for Luffy as well. Alright, we can't have Goku without his Vegeta too, right? Yep, and pre-ordered. Hold up. Is that Shanks with Kid Luffy with a cloth goods cape and another faceplate for Luffy? Well, I mean, I've already pre-ordered Ace, so we gotta have Shanks too, am I right? Yep, and that's pretty much how it starts. The long, winding, bottomless pit of a rabbit hole we call that new toy line we're about to spend copious amounts of money and time on. But to be fair, I really wasn't intending on picking up the Romance Dawn Luffy. I mean, I don't have any of the other figures in the One Piece line, nor do I plan on backtracking. Don't get me wrong, with all the mixed reviews I've heard about the figures so far, it still looks like a really good line. I've just never been that into One Piece to care about having any figures in my collection. But along came this figure, the classic red, blue and yellow, a look so iconic that just the colors alone are enough to conjure up an image of everyone's favorite pure-hearted, happy-go-lucky straw hat pirate. Call it curiosity if you will, or collector's addiction, but this Luffy is my one Superman in a sea of anime figures, my one Optimus Prime from a Transformers collection I wish I had, or just any figure you had to have just because you thought it looked cool. Alright girls and boys, let's take a look. So here it is, classic Luffy in his bright red vest with silver buttons and bright blue knee-high shorts with furry parts. Throw in your sandals and his iconic yellow straw hat and we have probably the most recognizable look for Luffy. It's a simple design, but I'm actually quite surprised at just how much ingenuity went into the figure. At first glance, Luffy is very streamlined. I think Tamashii were pretty conscious about trying to keep that simple and clean look of Luffy whilst giving him as much range as you'd want from a pretty agile and flexible character. The vest is broken up into two parts, with both upper and lower halves being a soft rubbery overlay, which works really well. You get some fantastic range in all directions, something I believe that the previous version was lacking, and even with this soft rubbery material we still actually get some shading around the bottom half of his vest, and the buttons are also painted in with a gunmetal silver. The crotch is also made of a softer rubber plastic as well, though it's not as soft as the upper half, with the legs being your traditional hard plastic. I'll go through the articulation a little bit later on the review, but I really like this bit of extra articulation at the back of the shorts. The furry parts on the back of Luffy's legs have a hinge and move in when you bend the knees. I mean, we only get about 90 degrees, but it's still better than getting less than 90 degrees. I just thought it was really neat. Moving down below, and Luffy's giant feet and sandals, again, simple, clean, looking good. We get a pretty good selection of faceplates as well, 4 in total, with the option to go with or without the iconic yellow straw hat, so I guess that's 8 variations in total. Face printing looks great. We get Luffy's signature scar underneath his left eye there, and I love the expressions it comes with. Considering this is kind of your bare bones budget release, or dare I say Luffy Build-A-Figure base figure, yep, because along with the options that we get with this release, 3 future releases will also come with Luffy faceplates. Not to mention the upcoming Gomu Gomu accessory set, which I believe comes with a looking off to the side teeth grit faceplate. Love it or hate it, I think you're good either way. If you're looking for just a stand-alone, no bells and whistles Luffy for your Jump crossover display, then this release on its own is plenty enough to keep you entertained. But if you're looking for something a little bit extra and you're collecting the line anyway, I think Tamashii have definitely got something going on here with 3 future faceplates and an accessory pack. Alright, let's take a look at Luffy's articulation, and bam, Gear 2 pose, and it's done really pretty easily, in my opinion. Yes, I did do a little bit of research before going into this review. Again, this is the first time for me to look at an SHF One Piece figure, so a lot of this is new to me, but I am aware of the issues people had with the previous raid on Onigashima Luffy, which people said they couldn't get Luffy to perform this pose naturally or easily, but with this figure, I do believe the legs are the same as that original release, but the big difference is in the torso and the waist. Luffy does have that softer rubbery plastic overlay, and he does have double ball pegs in his waist and in his chest. So yeah, he does perform this pose relatively easy without any issues. I mean, I got him in it, and yeah, it didn't take much time at all. So there we go, Gear 2 pose. Alright, so let's have a look at Luffy's head articulation. Let's get him back into a neutral pose. And yeah, I'm actually quite surprised and pleased with how Luffy came out. And I know this might not be new to some of you, but for me, yeah, this is, again, the first time for me to handle a One Piece figure from SHF, and yeah, it's actually really good. So starting off with Luffy's head, looks up really good. Looks down probably a lot better. And yeah, you've got some really good range going like left and right with a tilt, around and around, swivel. And yes, Luffy can bust out some moves. The shimmer, look at that, yeah. So yeah, really good head articulation. For the shoulders, Luffy doesn't actually have butterfly joints, but he has these kind of double hinge ball joints there, kind of similar to Revoltech joints. So whilst, you know, you can't get him to push his arm in forward just with the joint going into his chest, you can actually use that extra double hinge that connects to his shoulder to bring his arms in just that little bit more. So it acts as kind of like a butterfly joint. So it's pretty good. And you actually can hide it with his shoulders there, so it doesn't look, you know, as bad as your Revoltech joint. So I think it's pretty well engineered there. Luffy does bring his arms out a bit past 90 degrees. See, I guess that's better demonstrated here. See, you got that extra kind of hinge there from the actual shoulder itself. So that's nice. You do have a bicep swivel. 360s there, 360 there at the shoulder. It is a single elbow, but you get really good range. I like that. Swivel there at the wrist, and really good hinges as well. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this this section, he does have some really good ab crunch going forward. Look at that. And again, his torso is rubber, and you got your ball pegs going into his chest and into his lower ab section as well. So that's really good. Really smooth twist there at the upper torso. You get really good side to side tilt, like a lot of range there. But you also have a twist there at the waist. So fantastic range in the torso. Really like that. So again, I believe the legs are the same as the first release Luffy. So he does have a really good spread there. I like that. Kicks up, kicks back, 180. Nice. Luffy doesn't have any thigh cut, but he does have a bit of swivel there where his leg connects to his shorts, it is on a ball joint, so you do get some movement there. It's not the best because his shorts there do get in the way, but you know, so far I haven't had any problems like posing Luffy around that, you know, that I thought, hey, damn, wish he had like a thigh cut. I think it's good enough and it offers enough range for Luffy. So one thing that I believe was on the original as well, because I think these legs are the same as the previous version, as that on these kind of like fluffy parts here on the bottom of your shorts, they are hinged, so when you bend your knees, they do move up and out of the way, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat. I like that. You don't get too much range with the knee articulation. It is a single joint, but it does hit the back of his shorts there, so it only gets like 90 degrees, which is okay, I guess. You do have a swivel there at the foot. Goes down pretty well. Goes up pretty good as well. He has some fantastic ankle tilt and really cool toe hinge there. The sandal there is detached and separate, sculpted separately from his foot, which I really like. It's a nice little detail. So yeah, all in all, I think, like, again, I think the legs are the same as the original release Luffy, but the changes that they made with the torso, possibly the arms, just make this figure a whole lot of fun to pose around. And yeah, just really good articulation overall. Speaking of accessories, Luffy comes with 2 fists for punching, a set of open palm semi-relaxed hands for holding his hat, I guess, or pretty much anything actually, a pair of open palm action hands, a right pointing hand, or hat spinning hand, and a left meat on the stick holding hand. Speaking of which, here's the meat on the stick. I don't know about you, but anime food always looks so good. If you guys haven't seen Laputa Castle in the Sky, there's a scene in the movie with some of the most delicious looking anime food ever. Anyway, one of these sticks from the meat comes out, you slot it through Luffy's hand and plug it back into the meat. Simple and effective. Last but definitely not least, we have Luffy's yellow straw hat, which he can put on but also doubles up as a cool accessory. It's probably the most detailed part of the figure, and it has some darker yellow, almost orange shading around the base and brim of the hat. You get your 3 claw marks on the top and the red band around the base. I wish we could have gotten another hat accessory with a drawstring just so Luffy can wear it around his neck. I mean, you can just use some blue tack, but it's not quite the same. Who knows, maybe that's something Tamashii might include in the future with another character down the line. So for someone who knows next to nothing about One Piece, okay, that's not necessarily true. I'm just not as big of a fan as other people and never really got into the manga or anime. With that being said, this figure was a whole lot of fun, and I think for collectors in a similar situation will enjoy this just as much, even without a personal attachment to the source material. It's a smooth posing figure for the most part, still getting used to the legs with a decent amount of accessories at a really good price. Like I said, if you collect the line already, this will be a fantastic builder figure going forward. If not, Luffy is great on his own with any other Jump or anime characters on your shelf. I'm happy I picked up Luffy. I'm looking forward to cherry picking from this line, especially with the upcoming Ace and Shanks. And again, no real attachment to the characters themselves, but just some really awesome looking figures. And I think that's more than enough to get me excited. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the review, because that's it for at least another 2 weeks. My MacBook died on me the other day and I have to wait a couple of weeks till it gets fixed. But I should be back at around the time Figuarts Itachi releases, so no archive review just as yet, but I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Likes, comments, subscribe, remember to do them push-ups, and as always, yoroshiku!